pardon. We're a few minutes over the hour. However, I haven't had folks showing up, and I have had a message that somebody said they couldn't find my live feed. So I'm hoping everybody finds us all right. If I'll wait a few more minutes, see if anybody shows up, and if nobody does, we may restart this and see if whatever the problem is, we can fix it. I don't know what the problem is. I haven't seen any. Ah, there's Marianne. So she did find it. We're gonna wait for a little while, see who if anybody else shows up. I'm hoping we have some more visitors here, especially Gloria, since she was the one that asked us to do the some less expensive under $10 and under earrings for shows. Hi, Pauline. Hi, Beth. We do have a few coming in. There we go. Hey, Heather. Heather, we missed you on the members live yesterday. Somebody told me you were having a procedure. Are you all right? I was wondering, Beth. Nobody was showing up here for a little while. I was watching for them, and they weren't there coming. But you are there now, so that's good. So hey Donna, how's it going? Now, as I was saying yesterday, we're at 23 members in our members, and once we reach 25, we're going to do the random drawing for the mug. However, we are going to lose a member at the beginning of the month. She got hold of me and told me that she was moving and it was causing some problems and she wasn't going to be able to continue. I told her to come back when she was able to. So life happens and sometimes that's the case. So if we don't get those other two members by the end of the month, we're going to have to get 3 instead. So oh, okay. I see what you're. Hey, Tina. Well, that's good. Though I don't think that should be is probably any fun. I was hoping Gloria would show up because Gloria is the one who actually asked us to do the $10 earrings for what you charge $10 for. Hi, Kim. There should be a join button in the description of this video. In fact, in the description of all my latest my videos from the last month or so should have a join a place in it. So that'd be great. And for our new folks who may not have seen the mug that we are going to be doing the drawing for, this is she. It's got red inside, red handle, and my logo, which is exactly what it shows on my business card on both sides. So I also have a second one, and I have been trying to decide, do I want to, I was actually considering, oh, good, welcome, Kim. I see you have joined. That's wonderful. And I've been just debating if I want to send it to Randy or Heather, and they can use it on air that way, and it would become a sort of a advertisement for our channel that way. So, hi Georgina, hi Kelly. So that's my thinking on that second one. Oh boy, Heather, Sisterhood of the Traveling Mug, huh? Well, I order these from Vistaprint. So I actually could, once we give this one to whomever, if people really want one, I can figure out how much it would cost me to mail and then how much it costs me to make. And I can have some made for people if they want them. But I want to wait till after the membership gets, the first person in the membership gets them. Beth, send it back and forth filled with beads. Oh yeah, that would be fun, wouldn't it? So as I was telling our folks on our members yesterday, my new tripod frame has shown up, as has one of my telescoping arms, and the tripod came with a phone holder, so that's what I always use for my for my making my lives and my videos, recording. And I ordered a tablet holder as well as a second arm. Well, hi Gloria, you made it. You'll use it on air if I send it to you? Okay. Anyway, yesterday the tablet holder came in this lovely craft paper envelope from Amazon. Well, it was also supposed to have the other telescoping arm. Because it's craft paper, I just ripped open the top. And then I opened it up. And see what I see? Big, huge hole in the back of the package. Like I said, the tablet holder was still in here, but the telescoping arm wasn't. So I have to get another one of those. So, but I'm hoping to get it set up over the weekend. And then we can, if you see me pop on live over the weekend, it's probably because I'm testing out how things work it. Oh, you would use it live on air? Hey, there you go, Heather. Because frankly, I think that, hi Anita, that folks, if I send you a mug, if folks will use it on air, I would consider that advertising. So I think that would be great. So anyway, now that we have a few people here, and it's been almost 10 minutes that we've been on, we're going to turn down and we're going to talk about we'll talk about the pricing first before we even start. To make, just don't overdo it. To make a $10 or less pair of earrings, you've got to know your baseline. And depending on how you price items, your baseline's not going to be very high. For instance, if you do the 4 times the price of your pieces, like I do frequently, you can't spend more than $2.50 on your pieces, on the parts. And if you do it hourly, say you charge, like I've been charging $35 the last few weeks, and you divide that by $10, you have to have it under, well, let's see, we wanted to be 35 divided by, we want time. I have to think about this. So if we were to say your hour is 60 minutes and you're going to divide, it's going to take you 15 minutes to make them. So you got to divide your $35 by $4. That leaves $8, and that makes $8.75 that's there on your time. And then you only have another $1.25 you can spend on your materials. And you can't even do that because with the price of time, your labor way of doing things, You have to have these earrings done in less than 15 minutes. And it has to be that $1.25, that's got to be doubled, because you have to, when you do it that way, you have to take the price of your materials, double it, and then add your time. So now you're talking, you only have less than $1 to spend on your materials. So this is one of those instances where I would do the 4 times. A charm necklace today, that might be fun. So, this is very true, Heather. Usually, though, I use lever back ear wires or studs, and most of my customers are used to those style. Yes, I could make them. I've got some, and if I were to use that style, I could. And that's why your cheapest earrings have been $12, Gloria. Right. Because those things all add up, and you have to think about those things. So like I said, I do mine one of 2 ways. I get the price of my materials and multiply it by 4, and that's my price. Well, I even it up to I round it up to the nearest upper dollar because I hate change. Or I take the price of my materials, double it, then add my time. So, quite frequently, doing it that way makes my pieces more expensive. Sometimes less, but frequently more. So you can go by your less expensive. So the first thing you want to think about is your materials, because you've got to remember, you need to keep those material costs under $2.50 if you're doing the by 4 method. So you've got your beads and everything else. You should yeah. But so now let's turn down and I'll show you some things. Now I am going to use these tassels. I know these would it's a thread burner, huh? I am going to use these tassels because I really don't care for them. So we're going to use those as one of the components. And then I'm going to show you how you can make a similar pair to whatever we make that's going to be more expensive. So let's turn down and we'll get that started. Yes, Beth, that is a thread burner. Let's see if I can find mine quickly. And I really love a thread burner. It makes it so much simpler when you want to get your thread cut. There it is. Mine is a beadalon one. It's actually a wildfire cord cutter. Come on, focus. And it's from Beadalon. And so you've got the little tiny, come on, you can probably barely see it because it just gets red. But maybe if so, and then it's got this little button right here. Just press this little button. Come on, baby, heat up. I wonder if my batteries are going dead. It doesn't seem to be heating up. Well, that sucks. I wanted to show you how it turns red when it gets to the point where it's all heated up, but it looks like no, it's not hot. Looks like I might need to put some more batteries in it. They have, you just unscrew the end here, and it's got AAA batteries in here. I think these are triple, yeah. So I'll probably have to get my thread burner a few new batteries, but I really love this thing. It works really good. if changing the batteries doesn't fix mine here when I change the batteries, I will have to buy me a new one because these are just wonderful if you're got to cut threads for any reason. You're going to add it to your list of tools needed. So anyway, we're going to turn down. We're going to make a simple, really simple pair of earrings with these tassels, which would probably be a little bit more than the $10, but maybe not too much. But I'll show you what we're going to do. So let's turn down. Come on, flip. Boy, you're being difficult today. There we go. So we have the tassels. I'm going to see if we can lift it just a little bit. Hey, Miss Tacos. That's good. And I have the little tassels from the companion bundle. Like I said, I don't like these. They say their retail price is $1.99. I don't believe that they'd cost that much if we got them from Beadbox Bargains because they're pretty reasonable priced. Then I've got some glass pearls. Now I got these glass pearls some time ago from Joann's. I'm going to get a couple of these out. These are 2 cent, just little 2 cent pearls. And they probably don't cost this. It probably would cost quite a bit more nowadays. So that's one thing to think about if you're using your old beads and you priced them at from old prices. That you might want to consider that they're probably going to cost more than that nowadays. So let's see. We're using gold. Let's see if I can find. I should have some gold eye pins, but do I? That is the question. I don't use eye pins very often. When I do, I usually just make my own because I usually just do a wrapped loop. But sometimes I like them, so I do have some, but I think most of mine are silver ones, but I do have some gold ones. I'm fairly positive. I just have to dig them out of this cubby I have them in. Come here. These are the oldest ones, so they're way over on the side. Yeah, there's some eye pins in there. Whoa, that's a long one. I didn't know I had any that long. They don't need to be that long. I'm only just gonna make a. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this eye pin, which would be 10 cents. That costs 2. So our pearl is 2 cents. Eye pins is 10 cents. Put them like those. Then I'm going to take a couple of links of chain. This isn't very expensive chain. This is stuff I got from Beadbox Bargains, and let's face it, they're extremely reasonably priced. I only want like 3 links. So we'll get like 3 links of chain out. Maybe 4. This chain sort of is not got really big links. So we'll go with 4. And let's face it, 4 links of a piece of chain is not going to cost you very much. And in fact, let's see, do I have any little bits hanging out over here? Because I tend to drop any extra chain that I have and just drop it over here on the side, because I always say keep chain. It makes for great earrings. But I don't see any over there, so bing. So we're just going to have a little bit of chain, the tassels, and the pearl, and then we'll have to decide if we want to put them on an ear stud or if we want to... Rose, you put the trash back in the bag. Oh, well, whatever. If we want to use an ear stud or if we want to use a lever back. Now, when I get these, I put them in this and I say how much they are per pair. These are expensive. We're not going to use those for sure. The little gold lever backs are 80 cents a pair. So there is quite a bit of our funds. Or we could, strangely enough, some of my studs are a little bit less than that, probably because I got them from Temu. And we could, but I think that most of these are going to be bigger than I want to use. These are all 70 cents a pair. So is these little hearts. Maybe we'll put the little hearts on. What do you think, guys? So those are a little less expensive. Not a lot, only about 10 cents less than the others, but they are there. You couldn't even make them for that cheap. $5 for a pair of earrings with swan crystals. Seriously, you have to have your marriage certificate? Ugh. Well, I don't remember what it was I was getting, but I had to have my divorce certificate from my first marriage for something the other day. I can't even remember what it was, but I was sort of scandalized. I was like, what the heck would I need that for? I've been divorced for like 50 years. Well, not that long. 40, though. So we're going to open this up. We're going to put our little tassel on here. Close it. Put our little pearl up here. Ta-da! Is that cute? Now, actually, if you wanted to, you could end it right here and just put it onto the ear stud instead of just adding this little teeny bit of chain. But the little chain isn't going to add that much to it. And let's face it, it's going to give a little interest to our earrings. So I'm just going to now you can put this as a simple wrap right here. I tend to use wrapped loops more than simple loops, just because I like the more security. So I'm going to leave a little gap as I pull this around. Then we're going to slide our chain onto here. And once we get these finished, we'll do a little pricing and see if we kept it under the 10. I'm not sure we're going to with this pair because it is got that tassel that says that the suggested retail price is, oops, come on, baby, is $1.99 for the pair. But like I said, at Beadbox Bargains, you're probably going to get it a lot less than those. So I'm going to set even, but we're going to say $1 a pair for the tassels when we get to that point. Now remember, if we're doing it by the 4 times method, we have to keep it under $2.50 to make it be that price. So there's the little guy. We just have to put him on his little stud. Now I used 4 chain links, which may end up making me have to use either cut one off or use 2 jump rings to hook it to our stud. We'll have to see how it turns. Or I could just twist the wire over so it makes it makes this turn. And that's probably the least expensive way to do it. So come here, you're way up too high over there. Why are you over there? Okay, what are we doing here? Isn't it funny how if something's going to screw up, it's generally when you're on air. And that is doing something really wonky there, and I'm not sure why, because I did it just like I always do, but see if we can get it going better. About the same length because you felt like you were not going to be, but we'll see. These ear wires are lighter weight than I usually use, and they're not behaving as the same as normal, the other ones I use. Come on, you. Okay. Now we have to, oof, that's crooked. I don't know what you're doing, but I don't like it. And I think these are going to be two different lengths, so I'm probably going to want to rechange that ear wire, or I mean the wire that's this one. I am. It looks like crap. I don't do looks like crap. So we'll just get us a new wire out and fix this baby. And I cheat. I'd just as soon just cut the pieces as try and unwind them or you know, fix it that way. Why bother? You can just cut them. Like I say, though, even though this pearl only cost me 2 cents when I bought it, it's been a while, and I got them at Joann's when they used to do the $1 a strand glass pearls, which they don't do anymore, obviously, because they cost too much. Heck, I think the glass pearls are now $2 or $3. Maybe more like 3 or 4, even, for that matter. I think the problem is I didn't leave enough gap, and so when I pulled the chain on, I warped out my ring. There, now you guys got to see me pull apart a ear wire, a head pin or eye pin, as well as yesterday you got to see me watch me cut off a crimp tube. You know, it's funny, the crimp tubes from Softlex are really, really strong. And if you mess something up and you need to take it off, you actually do have to cut them off like I did yesterday on the members live. And of course, when you cut them off, you have to be super careful you don't cut your earring off as well. I mean, your wire. And so in the olden days when I used to use really cheap pieces, you know, when I first started and you'd use cheap pieces to put things together, if you got your crimp tube on bad, you could just sit there and crimp and it would break sooner or later. Those Softlex ones, I've only ever had one crimp break ever. And I had a feeling it was going to right from the start because it didn't feel right. You know what I mean when you say it, when I say something just doesn't feel right when you're putting it together? That was the way that one felt. So there's our little earring. Come here, you. And I think it's hanging right. If not, we'll, like I said, we'll twist our wire around a little bit. But these are a fine example of what I mean by little chunks of chain when you cut it off of something. Don't throw them away, because little chunks of chain are great for making dangly earrings like these. One of my favorite pair of earrings is got chain up the top. So is it hanging the right way? Nope, it's hanging crooked. So we'll just take our loop right here, take hold of both sides, and we're going to twist it, bing, like so. Now it's hanging the right way. We'll have to do the same with this one. And these wires, I gotta say, are, like I said, softer than I normally use. I use a little harder wire normally, and that turns super easy. So there we go. There's this little pair of earrings. So now, because I only used a little tiny bit of chain, probably that's just cents, you know, hardly anything. Okay, let's see what we got going on. That's true, Georgina. Everything is going up in price. So these pearls, like I said, that I paid 2 cents for probably 5 years ago, probably cost me more like would cost more like 5 cents now, which is just a pity. Gloria suggested that we do this. Hello, Marika. Hey, Cindy. You're playing hooky today? Ugh, that is ridiculous, Mary. Such an undercut to everybody else. Um, and and to herself. I mean, when you charge such a little tiny bit for your items, you're not making anything. There's no way she could be making a profit for just $5 earrings. Now, I used to, make some that were only $5, but nowadays that's impossible. The lowest I've ever managed to get things down to recently was 6, and that's even stretching it. But that's when I use a whole, like, we'll make that a pair similar to that in a minute. This pair, because these pendants, the suggested retail price is $1.99. I don't think that's the case. I think that we could get them from Beadbox Bargains if they have extras for probably about $1. So we'll say $1 for the 2. Come on, turn my calculator on. The little pearls were 2 cents a piece, so that's 0.4. But like I said, that's an old price. I couldn't get them for that price probably anymore. Though my ones I got from Beadbox Bargains, let me see if I can find them here. I used them in a necklace just yesterday. I must have put them away. There were 6 cents for 8 millimeters. So you probably could get them for 4 or 5 cents for a 6. So, these your eye pins are probably about 10 cents. I'm not going to charge in the one I screwed up because, well, that was my screw up. Our little bit of chain probably cost us no more than like 10 cents. And then our posts here are 70 cents for the pair. Now we're up to $2.04. However, these don't have any backers. They need backers. They don't come with them. So these are 8 cents. I think it's 8 cents for the pair. So woohoo! We've kept them under the amount we need them to be. Just barely, but we have. And that's contingent on the price of what the pearls would cost nowadays and what the fans actually cost. So if the pearls were to cost 5 cents today instead of 2 cents, we'd have to add another 6 cents in. And if the fans were more than 50 cents a piece or a dollar for the two, then again, we also would have to add that extra price. But as this sits, I could charge $10 for these. And I probably will if I take them to a show. Isn't that the truth, Beth? We could be together all day. Hey, Cynthia. Why wouldn't you still use the price I bought them for? Because I can't buy them for that price anymore. And if I need to make something similar and somebody said, or for instance, like I was saying on Members Live the other day, I think it was Members Live. If someone wanted to buy this, but they had a friend or, a daughter or something, I want the same pair of earrings for them, just like those. But I didn't have those beads anymore, so I had to get some different beads. Those beads are going to cost more nowadays than they did 5 years ago when I bought them originally. And if I don't have any more of them, I can't make that exact same thing for another person. I wouldn't normally make another pair exactly for another person unless the original person that purchased them asked me to. And I have had that happen before. So that is what you have to think about. Do I factor in shipping? I do if I'm putting them in to be shipped. If these were going into a craft show and I'm going to be selling them personally, then I can go with the $10. If I'm putting them into like my Etsy shop, you have to charge extra because you're going to have all that shipping stuff. And I tend to just do a base $6 shipping price, and that includes the boxes and stuff. But I also have fees from Etsy that I sort of have to fold in a little bit too. So these would be, or I'm losing money, of course. So if I were to take these and put them in my Etsy shop, I need to add 11% for all my fees and such. So now we're up to $9.80, still under 10. However, big however, I still need to add that shipping stuff. So that's about $6 because that's what I just based it at. So now we're looking at $16 for these instead of 10 if they're in my Etsy shop, just because of all those extra things I have to add in. If I'm selling them at a show, they can stay that $10. So, and that's probably what I will do with this pair. I will probably put them in a show. So those are very cute. But like I said, you have to think about the fact that if you need to make something similar in the future and you don't have any of those beads left and you have to buy some more, nowadays prices are not the same as the price I paid for those. If I take these to a craft show, I'm selling them in person. So I don't have to add shipping charges to them. If I'm putting them in my Etsy shop, I do have to add those things because I've got the box, I've got the envelope, I've got the the card I always put in. I have the label, um, the ink to make the label. All these little things add up after a while. So if I'm shipping them somewhere, I have to add those extra prices in. But if I'm doing it at a live market where I'm selling them myself face to face, then I don't have to add those extra things in. Exactly, Gloria. You need to use the replacement price that you would now need to pay if you need to make it over again, for any reason, or even something similar. You need to remember that you have those extra charges. Now, quite frequently, I will charge $10 even if this bead has gone up to 5 or 6 cents instead of 2 cents. It's still going to be $10 for this pair of earrings because I did pay that price for it. And a lot of times I will let that extra amount that I would end up paying for them in the long run slide. Um, but I won't always. If it's a popular style of earring that I'm going to end up making, um, they wouldn't be exactly alike. I never make anything exactly alike unless it's requested by the original buyer. Um, then I would need to because let's see, how do I want to put this? Because I would want to have, like I said, I will only make one pair of these unless I have to do another pair because I have had a request for an exact pair from, like, I've had this happen with teenage girls. They found a pair, but their best friend wants the same pair. And the original buyer doesn't care if the friend has a pair exactly like her. In fact, she thinks it's a cool idea. Then I'll make a custom pair for the second person. But I have to have the same price. I can't go charging one person one price and then say, "Oh, well, it's going to cost you $2 more." That's just not right. And so if I had to replenish and go up in price for these print things, then yes, when I go to live shows, I do put my earrings on cards. Then I have to consider that I can't charge the friend $2 more than I did the original ones. That's just not right. So either I take a loss because I had to replenish beads, or then I would have to right, there is charges for shipping on your everything you buy. It's just a way it is. If you're buying online, like say you're buying from Thunder Horse Descendant, Randy charges extra for the shipping. And quite frankly, I frequently do not add those pricings in to my things because you'd have to figure out how does that break down as far as shipping is concerned to each individual item that you have. And in that instance, these, like I said, they came up to what? They would have been, what was it, $2.15? $8.60, but I'm going to make them $10 because number one, I don't care for a $9 price. Number two, I always round up. I hate change. And Number 3, that gives me that leeway for the shipping charges for my beads and such if I bought them somewhere else. Do I put them on show cards? I always put things on cards. How long did it take to make these earrings? Well, what time is it? Oh, maybe 15 minutes. But if I'm charging $35 an hour, 15 minutes is a fourth of that. Now we've got $8.75 without the $2 and some odd cents that it cost me to make them. So now we're over $10. So, that's one way to look at it. And I do. And as far as putting things on cards, yes, I put things on cards. In fact, here's a pair right here. I haven't priced them and haven't decided if I want to put them in my Etsy shop or in my craft stuff. I have cards made that has all my information and stuff on it. And, well, I could have just got one of the blank ones that I don't have punched. But anyway, so all my earrings go onto cards like those. And then they get hooked to a rack during my shows. So. Well, Beth, the $9 would be a value, yeah. And in this instance, I occasionally run a sale at my live sales that I'd say buy 2 pair of earrings over $10 and get a third pair for like $8, even if it's a $10 pair. So you've got that. Then then you've pulled that sell thing in that. Oh God. So then you pulled that sell in that people just love a sell, they jump towards the sells. So this is also true, Gloria. The extra dollar also not only helps with shipping charges if you've bought some of these things and you had to pay some shipping charges for them. It also helps pay for the booth fee, because let's face it, any show you do, you've got a booth fee. It's not free to get in. I mean, anyway, I've never had one. I've paid as little as $25 to get into a show, but I have never paid nothing to get into a show. It always costs something. So I'm going to show you a really, really simple pair of earrings now that are very popular. And what type of rack do I display mine on? I have made a rack with a wood frame that's good sized, and then dowels that go across. I think I have 7 layers of dowels that are spaced enough so that when I hook a card on, there's a little free room at the bottom. So, and I just use a binder clip to hold the card onto my dowel rods. So that is what I use for that. Anyway, what I'm going to do next is we're going to make a really, really simple pair of pearl earrings. Now, even in today's price, glass pearls are not very expensive, thank God. But they're still, they add up. So I've got some pretty pearls here. We've got this one. And I'm going to do these are going to be small, but No, I don't want to do that. I'm going to do something slightly different here. But they're really elegant looking. And because these are those less expensive, my glass pearls, which are only going to cost, even nowadays, this bigger one is probably only going to cost 6 or 7 cents. These are going to be really inexpensive. So then what I'm going to use is I'm going to put some daisy spacers between each one of these. And these daisy spacers, I bought them. Did I get these from Amazon or Temu? I cannot remember. But they're only a penny a piece. So the most expensive part of this pair of earrings is going to be the ear wires. And, oh, come on. My tray doesn't want to come out of here. Don't want to lose that. Those are expensive. Is going to be my ear wires. And these. Sounds like my hubby's home from the doctor. He had to go get a shot in his shoulder. So, well, just because that one of these anymore is about 16 cents. I used to pay 10 cents a piece for these. But they're anymore, a good one is like 16 cents. So that's going to be half of your price right there. Is going to be your wire. Because these are not going to be expensive earrings. Because even if I were to charge a higher price because of the upper price, the raised price of the pearls nowadays, we're going to make a simple pearl stack. Whoop. It's one thing I don't like about glass pearls. Sometimes the coating comes off and it makes it not very pretty. So we're going to make a simple pearl stack. I think when they dip the pearls to put the dye on, they just put them on a string and go down, because sometimes the one side is always clear and the other side tends to be jammed, it seems, with some of the coating stuff. So simple, really pretty, but they turn out really elegant, in my opinion anyway, if you like pearls. And these are glass pearls, obviously, so they're not as expensive. They're not shell pearls. They're not real pearls. They're just simple glass. And these are, again, some of the older ones I got from Joann's that would cost more nowadays than they do when I bought them. But even so, they're probably not double what I paid for them. And I would think, anyway. I haven't bought any in a while. I should do so I know. Though I know that I got some 8mm white ones from Beadbox Bargains the other day that were regular glass ones. And they cost me 6 cents for the 8mm ones a piece. So not a big high price. These on the bottom of course, are 10s rather than 8s, but tuck that in, and then we'll get now this, because it is just a a simple bead around is not going to need anything special as far as what direction it turns or anything like that, because it's just a simple bead that's the same all the way around. And we're just going to put these on some lever backs, which are 70 cents a pair. Make sure they're working good and that they match, because I've discovered I put 2 different kinds in here the other day. Brown, they do. Okay. Thought to myself, well, that was really klutzy. Why'd you put 2 different kinds in the same bottle? Silly girl. But you can see the difference, so. So simple, elegant. You can use any color of pearl you prefer. You don't have to. Of course, I just chose these blue ones because they were close by to me. And there you go. So there's a really simple pair of pearl earrings. Now, if I were to charge for more like today's prices, I'd just double the price that I put on these, which is, looks like it was 3 cents for the, I'm just going to do the price, then I'm going to double it because of today's prices. So we're just going to do the pearls, which were 3 cents a piece for these. The bigger ones were, where did I put them? Here they are. 6 cents a piece, so that'd be 12. And then the little one is around 2 cents. So the beads right now cost me 22 cents. Nowadays they'd be at least double that, so I'm going to just times 2 that. Then we have our bead, our ear wire and our daisy spacers. These were only 1 cent daisy spacers, so those are just a 6 cents. Our ear wires were 16, so 32. What the heck did you just do, Rose? Dang it, I hate that when I do that. I have to refigure. 0.04, 0.06, 0.12, plus the daisies are 6, 0.06, 0.7. The ball head pins are 16 cents. And then, of course, I have 2 jump rings, which are about 4 cents a piece anymore. So now those only cost me $1.38 to make, but I was going to double the price of those pearls since I know that they'd cost at least double nowadays. So we have to add another 22 cents. So $1.60 times 4. Now they're $6.40. So I'd probably make them $8 or maybe even 10 because frankly, I don't want to make things too cheap. I mean, because then people look at it, go, well, that's not very. Do you really make things that inexpensive? I mean, are they worth really what you're paying for them? If that's all you're charging for them, so that's another really simple. Exactly, Gloria. Your gemstones are a heck of a lot more expensive than your glass things. For instance, I have these pearls. We used one of these in the earrings and things we made with the garnets and pearls. When I figured their price, they're 40 cents a piece. Now, granted, it's not a round pearl. They'd be a lot more expensive if they were round. But this is about the same size as this bottom pearl. So that would be 40 cents each for if I were to use the real ones. So you're looking at a lot more expensive. Hey, Sid. Hey, Debbie. That's true. You can just look it up online how much it would cost you nowadays. This is 8. I think it's a 10 millimeter because that's an 8 there for sure. And I used enough 8s that I can recognize an 8 right off the bat. But since that's just barely bigger, I think that's a 10. Yeah, it is. So we're looking at a 10 millimeter glass pearl, an 8 millimeter glass pearl, and a 6 millimeter glass pearl in these earrings. So very simple, but like I said, this 4th of July, I make these with red, white, and blue, and I mix up the colors of the sizes so that they're not exactly alike, but they're similar, and those get popular. But so I know we only made 2 pair here, but if I were to turn around and use honest to God pearls in these instead of the glass pearls, and let's face it, our freshwater pearls are not going to be as uniform as these. And weirdly enough, some people consider those to look cheaper because they're not round. But of course, they are freshwater pearls, and so but they're more expensive. I will admit that my first set of real pearls I got in Hawaii, and they were not that expensive because Hawaii sells them at a really good price. However, if you were to turn around and say, what is that company that I get stuff from every once in a while? It's a company that sells pearls in Hawaii. Maui Pearl Company, is that what it's called? I think it is. If you check their site, their round pearls are atrociously expensive. So so anyway, we only got 2 pair made, but that's the gist of what you want to think of if you want to do less expensive earrings for shows. Is you need to pay attention to your price frames. Did this bead cost me 50 cents? Well, I'm not going to want to use that probably for a $10 pair of earrings unless I'm only going to put like maybe one more bead with it, and you can do that. If you don't, unlike me, I tend to make really large earrings, as you all know. But if I were to make these are small by my standards, they're very small. But if I'm going to take like here's one example, an ammonite. This bead is 80 cents. If I'm going to want this to be in an inexpensive pair of earrings, it's the only bead going in it. Because by the time I get the other one, we've got $1.60. And then by the time we put our our head pin in at 16 cents a piece. Now we've got another 36. Is it 36? No, 32. We've got another 32 cents. So now we're over $2 right there. And then we got to put our ear wire in. So we're on the edges right there with just one bead. So you got to remember those beads add up. And you've got to pay attention to that if you're going to make earrings that you want to have under a certain price point. It's just a fact of life. If you want to have any kind of semblance of something that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, you got to think about these things. So here's another example. These button beads are 54 cents a piece. Now we're at $1.08. Now I can put, I don't like that. This pretty little crystal, I only paid 5 cents for this one, amazingly enough. So it could go over the top. And then we have $1.08 and we have another 10. That's $2.18. But I want something a little more. But I've got these 3-cent cubes. Okay. Or I have these little 3-cent ones here that are, if I want to have them really monochromatic, because these are all about the same color. So now we're adding up, you know, it's coming to a higher price because we've added all these beads in. But let's see how much we've got so far with these. So at 54 cents a piece, that's $1.08. Then we're going to add in our 5-cent crystal here, so another 10 cents. These are both 3 cents a piece, so that's 12. Okay, now we're at $1.30. But we're not done. If you're like me, you want spacers in there. So even if we just put the 1-cent daisy spacers in there, we've got at least 1, 2, 3, and I would like to put one on top because this is flat on top. 4, and maybe one on the bottom, so 5. So add another 10 cents. And then you got your ear wires. At the very least, you're looking at 70 cents. Now that's $3. Did I add in my head pin? I can't remember if I did or not. Well, if I didn't, that's another 32 cents. So there's that. Times 4 is about $14 for that pair. So, and if I were to do it by the time, say I would just take say I just take by times 2 then, plus my time frame, which say it took me 15 minutes to make these. And so we're looking at what did I figure 15 minutes was? 676 is 875 plus the 6 something. I'll just say 6. 8.775 plus 6. And now that's 15 going that way. So, you know, everything has to add up. Well, thank you, ladies. I'm glad you you appreciate how, talking about pricing and such too. I think pricing is one of the most important things you can do, because otherwise you're gypping yourself, and nobody needs to gyp themselves, especially if you're going to sell your stuff and you're going to want to make more and more things. You need to have the pricing um, down so that you're not losing money. The lady that Mary was commenting about, who sold her stuff for so cheap, she's losing money. I can guarantee she's losing money. And sooner or later she's going to have to quit, unless she's independently wealthy or has a good job that she can just do that, and it's just a hobby, and it's not going to she doesn't need to make any money on it, because she's not. I can guarantee she's not. um, but definitely something that you always have to think about. You have to remember to add in everything you do. Um, Even if, like I say, you just do the 4 times, because it does come out less. But you always need to add those pieces in. They're not free to you. They shouldn't be free to somebody else. Because if you're not giving yourself a decent price, they are free to somebody else. Um, no matter how you want to look at it, they are. Because if you're not charging what you need to charge to at least break even, which, like I said, I'm sure the lady that Mary was talking about, who was selling all of her earrings for $5 and her necklaces for 10, she was not breaking even. I can guarantee it. And you've got to, you've got to at least break even. Even if it's just a hobby and you don't want to do it, if you're just playing around and it's just a hobby, you got to break even at least. I get my cards printed from Vista Print, Gloria. But like I said, this pair of earrings that I just finished, because I used more expensive beads, mainly this vintage button bead, is going to be more expensive, and it will be 15 as opposed to the 10 that these two would be. And this one, like I said, could go down as low as 8, because, but, and I may do that, because I do have have earrings at shows that I make as little as 8, but that is, let's face it, with today's prices, that's about as low as you should go. I used to go down to 5 when I made some like this, because the beading cost me less. But nowadays it just doesn't. So, and you gotta go with today's prices. You can't always be going with your other prices, because you're not going to be able to keep those prices up in today's market. It's just not realistic. I actually was going to make a pair of hoop earrings today too, that would be less than 10, because you can do that. Your wire is not that expensive. But you want to remember, again, you're at the mercy of your bead prices, as much as anything. This wire doesn't want to go around. There it goes. And if you don't pay attention to that, like I say, you're gonna run a deficit sooner or later. And who wants a deficit, right? That little wire really wants to stick right there with the daisy spacer. Come on. There you go. I wanted that daisy spacer up there because that bead is flat on the top, but it keeps holding my my extra little bit of wire from tucking down the way I want it to. See, it's sticking up there still. Come on. You are just being really stubborn. Okay. So anyway, yeah, that's a good idea, Heather. Use the less expensive ones to cover up the cost of the higher priced ones. And that's why I do it. I have a regular business card, and then I have my earring cards. Here, here's my regular business card. This is what's on the mug. And then flip it over on the back side, has all my information on it. Then my earring card, since I don't really care to flip it over, I've just taken the business card, the logo part, and put it right up at the top, leave a gap, and then put my information in here. I've left that gap because when I punch these with my punch, which is this guy right here, and I actually need a new one. He's getting really dull. So he's got a punch down in here, and then I just put this in and it punches the holes right across where I've left my gap space at right here. So, and that is what I use for all of my earring cards. Yeah, the less expensive earrings are sometimes the hit. And a lot of times anyway around here, my less expensive ones are the hit because I'll have teenagers that have come to the shows and they want, they don't have as much money as some of the some of the adults, and they want earrings. I mean, everybody wants earrings. So that one just doesn't. I may have to cut that little bit of wire off. It doesn't want to tuck at all. Oh, there, that one's tucking. But it's frequently the case. And like I said, if you can do it, if you've made enough that you can put a special section of these are $10 earrings, but if you buy 2 pair, you can get a third pair for $8, and or make $12. These are $12 earrings. You buy 2 $12 pair of earrings, and you can have one of them for $10. And so you're not especially if you've ended up rounding it up some, you're usually going to lose too much of your profit that way. You might lose a little bit, but it's not going to be much. And then it draws people in. I actually have a dish that I have on a lot of my craft tables, a little brown dish that I've taken my price and slashed it by like $1 or so, and I put it in red pen and put them in that dish, the cards and such, and say, this is my sale. This is a sale dish, and I'll take some of my older earrings off every year that I haven't sold, and I'll do that with them, and then I'll get the older ones sold that way. Yeah. Yeah, I understand that, Mary, about the beads from other countries. It's like the Gollum beads. They come from Bulgaria, and they're beautiful beads, and they fit great on leather, but they're expensive. Um, I don't think I've ever had found a Gollum bead even on sale that was less than $10 for or $8 for one bead, and it's more like $10, maybe even more than that nowadays. I haven't bought any for a while, so definitely something to think about. Now, because I'm making these be more expensive ones, I'm going to possibly, depends on my mood. No, that's rose gold. I don't want to use those. We're going to use maybe a slightly more expensive top for those. I don't think I want this one because it's long, but maybe I do. Let's see. Yeah, those will work. So now again, this is one of those, which component do I want to use because of pricing? And because these regular ones that I used on these were 70 cents a pair. I think those were 80 cents a pair. These are $1 a pair, so they're a little more expensive. But I like them. And when I'm using studs, I try, since a lot of them are decorated. Oops, come on, little guy, turn around. I try to match them sort of to the earrings so that they look good with it. So but the long and the short of it is, if you're going to do it, do your pricing by 4 times. You got to make sure, if you want your earrings to be a $10 earring on your craft table at your craft shows, you need to make sure that all of your pieces, and I mean all of the pieces, do not add up to more than $2.50. If you're going by the 2 times and your and what it costs, and then the hourly time frame, then again you've got to figure out how much your leeway you have, because it seriously depends on how much you charge per hour. Let's say I was going with 40 cents an hour. Each of these earrings took me 15 minutes to make. Each of these earrings is starting at $10. There's no way to get around it, because I don't think that they would take less than 15 minutes to make. And you've got to you've got to give yourself your pay, and then beyond that, now you've got to figure out your beads too. And so once you've got if you're going by that, you're going to, if I were to charge like $15 for these by time, I mean, just by the 4 times method, then they'd be $8 for the base price of them because of the 2 times, and then you add the $10 in, and now you're at 18 instead of 15. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, however you want to go. Yeah, that's true, Heather. Now, I have some shows that that demands you have liability insurance, and my insurance will not cover things that are specifically made for children because of it's because of the amber lawsuit after the child choked on the piece of amber that they used for a teething ring. So I have to beware of anything that I sell that's specifically for children. Like I used to make stretch bracelets that were smaller because they were specifically for children, but I don't do that anymore because my liability insurance won't cover it. I do make what I call fairy dust necklaces, which are a little bottle of glitter with a little bead string and a fairy down on the bottom of it, and it's just on a simple chain. Those, you could consider those specifically for children, but it's not just children that buy them. And a lot of times it's teenagers that buy them, and I don't consider teenagers children. So, those I do make, but and sometimes it's smaller children, but I consider that a purchase for an adult. And if an adult decides to give it to a child, that's not my responsibility. So anyway, we've been here about an hour and a half. Memory wire bracelets for kids. I do have a smaller memory wire, and I sometimes will make that. And, because it's smaller, because a pack of memory wire, if you get a pack, it usually has necklace, 2 bracelets, and ring. And the smaller size is pretty small. I mean, it won't fit me. It's too tight. But I don't have to specifically say that's a child's bracelet, because there are adults with tiny wrists, and I can say, it's just one for a small person. Yeah, exactly, Mary. If you're making stuff for children, you do have to think of copyright things. And if I've got like Dress It Up Buttons, the Jesse James company sells beads that have Disney characters on them. Don't resell those. Disney will have your head. Dress It Up Buttons has an affiliation with Disney, but that doesn't go beyond them. Randy Brown from Thunder Horse Descendant checked that out once with a lawyer, and they told her that no, that does not go beyond the original affiliate. It doesn't. Those buttons are to be used for personal use for the person that buys them, so the affiliate doesn't go forward. So if you use some of those buttons like I have in hair barrettes and stuff, I will not even think about attempting to put them on my Etsy shop, because Disney has an algorithm that goes through and grabs those things, and you'll get dinged big time. And so if you're using them, some Disney character things like buttons or something in any of your things, uh, I wouldn't try to sell them anywhere but at craft shows. And even there, you got to wonder about it. That's right, Gloria. Tiny ladies need smaller bracelets. So I can make them for smaller bracelets, memory wire bracelets, and things like that, that I wouldn't consider a child's bracelet. Um, and if it fits a child and a parent want to do that, you know, a parent wants to use those for get those for a child, that's their business. You have bought that from me, not telling me that it's a child's bracelet. I have sold it as an adult's bracelet. So, you know. It depends on the people, Marika, whether they'll buy my more complex designs or not. I don't sell those as frequently. Um, and it depends on what it is. For instance, my circlets that I make, the wire circlets I make, those sell at the Renaissance fairs and the fairy festivals really, really well. I generally, if I don't sell out, I usually take at least 10. And if I don't sell out, I usually only bring 1 or 2 home. I had one that for some reason just wasn't selling, so I donated it to one of my local Renaissance fairs for an auction, and they sold it at the auction, so that was fine. But and my fairy ears that I make for the fairy festivals, and actually I have to start making those pretty soon. I have a Beltane festival coming up. Those sell really, really good too. And but yes, sometimes what was it? 2 years ago, I wire wrapped a big, beautiful labradorite, and then I wire wrapped the frame for the necklace and then just chained it to the back. And that sold at one of my shows. I hadn't had it out that long, and the lady that bought it said, "Oh, that is gorgeous. I have to have that." And sometimes that happens, and then I've sold, like Randy's necklace was a real pretty one that I made her with the butterflies. I have sold stuff like that. You just have to hit the right person. It's hit or miss. Some people, will look at it and go, "Oh, that's gorgeous, but I'm not going to pay that price for it." And then the next person it just doesn't even blink at the price. So, exactly, Gloria. There's always somebody who wants the better price, the more expensive, fancier item. So, there's always some things you have to think about things like that. Sometimes, I make those because I really love them. That's the way I like to design those kind of things. I really don't make a lot of simple things because I'm not a simple things person. But there are people that love those things, and the simple things sometimes go really fast, and other times they don't. Anyway, ladies, we've been on for an hour and a half. I think it's time to go. I'm going to turn up here for a second here. So as we can see, we've got the least expensive pair. That's true. Everybody's has been a little bit more careful with their money these days. My ear wire, these ones are stainless steel. And most of these say that they are stainless steel, but they're coated. These are gold plated. So so we've got our 3 little pair of earrings we made. And like I say, you just have to go in thinking about if you want a certain price point, you got to go into making them at thinking on that certain price point, and you have to figure out those those prices to start with. For instance, like I said, you need to, if you're going to put an hourly rate in there, you've got to figure that hourly rate right off the bat. You know, right off the bat. If you're charging $40 an hour for your time, and you think this piece is going to take you 15 minutes to make, its base price is $10. You're starting at $10 before you touch a bead. So, you've got to think about these things. And again, if you want it to be $10 and you want to go by the times 4 price, you can get your materials and everything up to $2.50. And that's it. No more. Or you're over your profit margin. So those are just that's the baseline you got to look at. That's your baseline. If you don't care what it ends up costing, go wild, and that's what I generally do. I generally go wild. I generally don't pay attention to the price of what it's going to cost at the end of the day. And if somebody wants that item, they're going to pay for it. And if they want to shirk at it, and I've had people try to tell me, oh, well, that's too much. I'll pay you that much for it. And I just say, no, sorry. I don't dicker on my prices. They are what they are. And they're that way because I price by what it cost me to make it. This is very true, Gloria. If you do want to cut down on your price, just don't fully beat it. Put a chain in the back. I've done that quite frequently. And sometimes the design is better with the chain around the back instead of a beaded all the way. Sometimes that's just the way to go. And also true if you want, if you're going to use a ribbon or leather, those are also things to think about. Do you want to just bead it to, like, say here and put some rings in and put leather around the back? You can do that. Or like these leather bracelets that I made. I love these leather bracelets. I haven't priced them yet. Although I think the Gollum one's not up here, so I think I priced it and put it in my Etsy shop. But again, you got to charge everything. And in today's prices, unfortunately, those prices are going up, and there's nothing we can do about them. So, my older stuff that's still on my table that I periodically pull out and sort of revolve it, that, okay, that didn't sell last year. Let's pull it off and put something else on instead. But then the following year, I might put it back and it might sell that year. Or it might not again, and then it might go into my sell bin. But it's just the way you got to do things. But those older things that I am revolving around are going to be less expensive because they cost me less to make them when I made them, and then if I'd made them today. But again, like I say, you want to start with your base price. If you're going for a specific price point, you have to figure your base price out first and go from there, and how much you can put together to get to that point you want, or to not go over the point you want. So that's That's you know, the long and the short of it. If you want to sell stuff for a specific price point, you need to know what that price point is and head towards it and not go over it. So anyway, ladies, we've been on for an hour and a half. I think we're going to call it a day. I actually expected to make more things before we were done, but we chatted a bit, and I always do, don't we? So we've got our two less. This, like I said, is the least expensive pair we made today. This one could go as low as 8, but I probably would sell them for 10 just because, well, I might sell them for 8. Because I don't want to go price myself too low. This pair is definitely 10 because, for one thing, I don't know how much the fans would cost realistically. But again, this little trick with the little bit of chain makes for a really cool looking earring, and the chain is cents. So, that's one thing. Another thing, if you want to keep your costs down, is add that little piece of chain with just a few beads at the bottom of it, and they're gorgeous. I think I was wearing some yesterday that were like that. Not today. I think I'm wearing some hoops today. Yeah, I am. I see. I got hoops, but really simple way to do it. And like I said, it adds a lot of elegance for very little, because that little bit of chain is really, I think, makes a really cool statement, just having that little bit of chain on there. But and like I said, most chains, unless you get an expensive chain, is just cents on the dollar. And if it's not, if it's a more expensive chain, if you have scraps, keep those chain scraps. You can use those in earrings so easily, and it looks so good. And then you've got the more expensive pair we made, which even they are not that expensive. They're a straight earring, and I think we figured that those would be 15. So they're not even that expensive at an earring. How do you price on Softflex cord making a 22-inch necklace? I am going to charge, I take my Softflex, I figure out how much the spool cost me, and then they have a length on this. This is a 30-foot spool. So say I paid $30 for this spool of wire. I just bought some gold that was a 30-foot for $34. So then you've got, that your 30 well, let's take one of the regular ones. I know that nowadays the smaller spools are $8.49. So you take your $8.49, and it's a 10-foot spool. So you divide that by 10, and you know that costs you about 85 cents for each foot. And if you want to break that down into inches, you could then divide that by 12. But you're looking at 85 cents a foot. For a 22-inch necklace, you're going to use 2 feet. That's a given. So that's $1.70 for your cord, for your wire. I would probably even use a few inches more than that, because I like to make sure I have plenty of wire for my turns. There's nothing worse, in my opinion, than getting to the end and you only have a teeny bit of wire left, and you can barely get that turned. That's true. A meter of chain from Bargain Bead Box is really good price. So Exactly. Exactly, Gloria. You want to price your stringing wire generally by the foot because let's face it, you're not going to make a necklace less than a foot. I mean, it doesn't work. It will choke you. And I mean quite literally choke you because I don't know of anybody who has less than like a 15-inch, 14-inch, 15-inch neck. So you price it by the foot, and you're going to generally use, if you don't use 2 feet, say I only used a foot and a half, and even that's a rarity because that would be a choker, obviously, because you need that extra few inches to do your turns and to crimp it and everything like that. You don't just go straight to the end. So so you do need that extra bit. And if you were to need to go down to the inch, we could go 85 cents for the foot, divide it by the 12, and now you've got it's 8 cents a foot. I mean, an inch. So even if you just go by inches, say you use 26 inches at 8 cents an inch, you got $2.08 for your wire. And you have to charge for your wire too. It's not cheap. It doesn't come free. So make sure you charge for that, and you charge for your crimps, and you charge for your jump rings, and you charge for your clasps. Everything. You need to put everything into your price. So anyway, like I said, we've been on for an hour 45. We're going to call it a day. I hope this helped with some things. But I think we're going to need to be done. We'll see you all later. Hello, Lily. Lily's peeking around the edge of my desk. We're going to be done for the day. This has been Rose from Rose's Garden, and I will have a recorded a video for you tomorrow. I was making a really pretty necklace with our Floral Fantasy from Bargain Bee Box. That will be tomorrow's video. And oh, I forgot to talk about it. I forgot. I'm thinking of doing lives, one more live per week. And since Randy Brown's Claim It Live sale is now a drop sale and she's only staying in for that hour on Mondays, I'm going to do another live on Mondays at 10 a.m. as opposed to a recorded video. So I will see you Monday live. And we'll talk about if we want to switch any other days on Monday, but we will be doing Monday live at 10 a.m. We'll see you later. Bye-bye. This has been Rose from In Rose's Garden. Oops.